Hey, how are you guys? It is Harrison Barron from growth-generators.com. Now, in this video, I want to talk about how to differentiate your MSP from the competition, because ultimately it is a super competitive world out there. I want to go over some topics and some quick wins that you can start to make that is going to have a massive impact on your MSP. That's going to help differentiate you from the market and ultimately turn a red ocean into a blue ocean. I'm going to go over that in just 1 second. Before I get into it, I do want to mention there are a handful of good links below. One, obviously my masterclass. I highly recommend going through it. But two, there are opportunities to interview. If you want to suggest a video, there's a link down below. You could submit a video idea for me to make, and who knows, maybe I'll make one and address it directly, which will have a massive benefit for you, but also helpful videos and everything else like that is going to be down below as well. So let's go into, before I get into differentiating yourself, we have to understand what a blue ocean versus a red ocean, or blue market versus a red market is. Think of yourself as a shark, and trust me, before you're like, oh, this is a stupid video, it's really important to understand this concept, because it'll actually show you way more customers and where they all are and kind of where they were hiding that you never saw before. So let's think of yourself as a shark. You think of yourself swimming through the water, right? With a lot of competitors, they're all eating and there's a lot of blood in the water. And quite honestly, it's hard to see through that red. There's not enough food. It's super competitive. Even when there is a fish that it gets into the red ocean, somebody's gobbling it up immediately. And it's super competitive and you really can't see kind of the forest through the trees, right? It's that similar concept. But when you differentiate yourself and you figure out a really nice niche market without a lot of competition, you then go over to this blue ocean, this nice, clear, you can easily target and see your target clients, or fish in this case, and go after them with little to no competition in the space. So you have this extremely volatile, super competitive area, the red ocean, and then you have a much cleaner, easier to hunt, easier to find your target blue ocean. And ultimately, the blue ocean is where you will thrive. So that gets me into understanding the competitive landscape. There are so many MSPs out there. A lot of you guys have watched my videos to start an MSP, and I congratulate you. But the first thing you have to do is figure out how competitive it is and what is going to separate yourself from the current kind of pool of people that are going out there competing for those clients and that money. So everyone can basically start an MSP right now. It's probably not the easiest business to start, but it is definitely one of the easier, because all you need is a computer where you don't need to physically go somewhere, do physical work. But there's a lot of technical understanding. There's also a massive rising need in customers' technology needs. They understand that cyber threats are more prevalent than ever. People, especially after COVID and haven't been in person where they're not exchanging these ideas, need different softwares and education to really thrive in the technology environment. And also, just the needs of businesses are changing. As businesses, especially after the last handful of years, have changed, they've needed to do certain things. They've needed either different securities, different group settings, I want to say, because you have Slack, you have Zoom, you have all of these ways to build conversations among your team, but also the way that they're interacting with their customers is also changing. So there's this massive shift that's going on right now, and it's also creating a more competitive landscape, because you, as the MSP/IT business owner, has to be ready for that. So one of the easiest ways to do it and get into that blue ocean is come up with a unique offer, something that you know that your competitors don't already offer. Now, this could be starting in a space that you might not have thought would have turned into an MSP. That could be maybe selling VoIP phones. That could be maybe getting into the printer game, which some people may or may not want to do that. Maybe you build custom computers for people specifically for architectural firms or people that are using AutoCAD, BIM, anything like that. BIM is building infrastructure management, just helps assemble the buildings and show people, the smart people, how to build them appropriately. You might find some interesting niche, or you might be the person that says, hey, I'm going to come up with a easy $5,000 or $3,000 solution that's going to help coffee shops and internet cafes how to grow, and great opportunities for their customers to come in and have a very technologically sound environment to work in, hang out on their computers, hang out on their phones, and know that they're not going to get hacked, all while helping the business owner collect valuable information. There's so many different super cool ideas out there, and most people aren't even targeting them. Or maybe it's setting up camera systems and using a software like Cumulex to allow access control with video surveillance. And that's going to open up a whole nother set of doors out there to go in and start to say, hey, we do something very different. We don't only take care of your computers, but we're going to set up your cameras, your access control, and get involved even more to do a full end-to-end security and operational standpoint. There's so many opportunities out there. You do have to get a little creative in creating your unique offer, but I highly, highly recommend thinking a little outside the box. And if you already have customers, think about something unique that you've done for them and think about if you could replicate that for a lot of other people in that industry. It's only going to show you a whole blue ocean of people that really do need your help and support. Next, we're going to get into specializing in certain industries because it kind of goes hand in hand. You have to think about what industries you really want to target. Now, I firmly believe that you need to go do a buyer persona. I do have a buyer persona checklist down below, and I'm not just saying that because I made it, but it is extremely thorough and detailed. When you go through and figure out your buyer persona, it makes figuring out who your target client is super easy. And when you specialize in one specific area, it becomes so much easier to find new clients and help them and support them. And there's no competitors or competition in that space. And before you're like, well, that's silly, I'll prove it to you. When you go hire a lawyer or a doctor, you find a specialist, don't you? Why wouldn't you do the same with your IT company or MSP when they're going to be the ones essentially keeping everything running in your company? When your wrist hurts, yeah, you might have to go to your general physician, but then you might have to go to a specialized doctor, depending on what happened. Some kind of osteo, I don't remember the exact names, but an osteo doctor specifically, or if your spine hurts, or if you have migraines, you're going to go to a specialist. You don't just go and say, hey, doc, my wrist hurts. And they're going to say, well, take a bunch of, Advil, and we're going to hope for the best. No, they're going to recommend you go to somebody who specializes in that area. Maybe you're the compliance guy for doctors' offices. That's a fantastic opportunity. Or the compliance person for law firms or accounting firms. There are so many opportunities out there, and there's so many niches that have never even been touched. You guys that I've had conversations with have come up with some really, really cool ones, but you have to specialize in a certain industry. It immediately makes more business for you. Yes, some of your customers might be a little further away, but they're willing to spend a bit more money on you because you know the industry like the back of your hand, and that's going to be the big differentiator. Now, after you specialize in that industry, you go through your buyer persona. There is a video down below too, by the way, on how to use that worksheet. But you have to figure out what level of quality of service you're going to provide. Obviously, everyone wants to support everybody at the highest tier, but that's not realistic. You have to come up with 2, 3, maybe even 4 packages on what you're going to support, how you're going to support it, and the quality of service that customer is going to get. And then you have to go deliver on that. A lot of people do like a basic, a starter, then they'll do like a advanced, and then they'll do like a total care, which is unlimited on-site, unlimited remote, whatever it is that you decide to do. I'm going to make another video on that very soon. So if you're excited about that, you're definitely going to want to subscribe to this channel, and I will probably let you know or jump on my newsletter down below. Either way, super important. You have to understand how that's going to work. And by going in, figuring out that quality of service that you want to provide and delivering on it is, believe it or not, going to help differentiate you, because maybe you might not be the fastest, but you're the most thorough, or you're not the fastest, but whenever there's an issue that's resolved, it gets resolved nearly immediately. Instead of having to, you might just have skills that you don't need to wait on Dell or SonicWall or some other hardware or software company, but these are totally good options for you. Or maybe your service is super fast. You're going to get it addressed in nearly no time, but you're going to have to go back and forth with support. Who knows? But there's always something unique that a lot of you guys have had, especially after the conversations that I've had with many of you. It's very cool to see how you guys have figured out your own businesses, and I just want to help educate as many of you guys as possible. So figure out that quality of service that you want to deliver on, and then deliver on it. It is not that hard. You just have to figure out what works well for you, and getting people into a monthly service-based contract is the best thing that's going to help you build your cash flow. Now, last but not least, is your branding and marketing, and also building customer relationships. And I put those hand in hand, because while you're building customer relationships, it's going to help build your brand. Now, there's a lot of great names out there, and there's a lot of companies that kind of have the less exciting names. And that's okay either way. Nobody would have thought Apple, and now my Apple device is covered with a case, but nobody would have thought the word Apple would have ever been associated with a technology company. You build the brand. The brand doesn't build you. So keep that in mind. So as you're going through, you're building these customer relationships, figure out your strong points, figure out where you can kind of play on things. You can come up with different ideas on how to build your brand and leverage your existing customer relationships while also strengthening them to help consistently build your brand going forward. It is very important to have a good brand and solid branding. The name doesn't particularly matter. The logo also doesn't particularly matter. But what does matter is how you treat your business, how you treat your brand, and how your customers, how your customers understand and believe your brand. And how they interact with your brand will immediately develop its value. And I'll prove this to you. I'm sure we've all probably heard of Louis Vuitton or Cartier. There's a million out there. Burberry. None of them actually do anything different than what you could go find at your local Target. They make bags that you could just hold whatever in. It's the brand that they've built that people associate it with. That's the difference. So yes, they charge an ungodly amount of money and they claim that it's the best products in the world. You can buy a lot of those products from a local person. If you wanted a leather bag, while it might not have this stamped of LV on it, you could probably go find a local cobbler, which is somebody that works in leather, and have them work on it. Or actually, there might be shoes. Leather worker. I might be getting confused on that. But either way, there's people locally around you that specialize in these areas that want to build amazing bags that don't have these brands behind them. I'm pretty sure cobblers are for shoes, so I apologize. Leather worker, Leatherman, same thing. This is how brands are built. So while you're going through this whole process, figure out what works and what doesn't work for you and have your customers help drive your brand and the vision that you have in your brand so that way you can build it and it becomes synonymous with your product and service is associated with this brand. And people think because you have both of these, this area up here, that kind of trifecta, if you will, quality of service, the brand, and what people think about it is really the triangle that you want to go for, because when people think about it, they recommend it. They immediately think when they're out with their friends at a networking event, oh, you got to try XYZ's MSP. It's crazy. They do this. They work with these, this. Oh my God, they've knocked out of the park because of this. And when you build that, and you follow this video pretty much through entirely, you obviously have to do some homework on it, but you follow these ideas and concepts through, you're going to be infinitely more successful. And I say that with so much passion because it's so true. You build the brand. So I hope you guys found this video helpful. If you did and you've gotten this far in it, I hope you guys hit that like button, hit that subscribe button. And if I missed anything or you guys think, hey, you should probably cover this topic or you should have probably thrown this in the video, leave a comment down below. It'll only help me make better videos for you guys in the future. Other than that, love you guys. I'll see you guys later.